Margaret heard the boots before she saw him. That familiar rhythm on wooden steps, the slight drag of the left heel he'd never fixed. 43 years she'd been listening for that sound. Through every storm that rattled her windows, through every quiet morning when hope felt like a cruel joke. Now, in the dying light of an October evening, those boots had finally returned. She'd been 17 when James left, both of them too young to understand what war really meant. He kissed her on this very porch, promised he'd be back before the leaves fell, and walked down that dirt road with nothing but a duffel bag and dreams of glory. The leaves had fallen 43 times since then. Margaret had waited through every single autumn, watching them turn gold and drift away, just like her youth. Before we continue, pause for just a moment and tell me in the comments, which country are you watching this from? I love knowing how far these stories of devotion travel. Now, the town had called her foolish. Her own sister had begged her to move on, to accept one of the dozen proposals she received over the years. But Margaret knew something they didn't. She knew the difference between a promise forgotten and a promise kept by someone who couldn't come home. The letters had stopped after 3 years. The army had listed him as missing, presumed dead. They'd sent her his dog tags and a flag folded into a perfect triangle. She put the flag in a drawer and hung the dog tags by the door, where they'd catch the light every morning. Some nights, she'd hold them and pray. Other nights, she'd curse him for making her love him so completely that no one else could ever compare. She built a life anyway, became a school teacher, raised her sister's children when fever took her, planted a garden that became the envy of the county. But she never moved that rocking chair from the porch, never stopped lighting the lamp in the window at dusk, never removed his coffee cup from the shelf. People thought it was grief that kept these rituals alive. They were wrong. It was faith. If you understand the power of that kind of faith, hit that like button right now. The knocking came soft, almost apologetic. Margaret's hand shook as she walked to the door, 60 years old now, her hair silver where it had once been black as coal. She opened it, and there he stood, James, not the boy who'd left, but not entirely a stranger either. His face was carved with lines that spoke of unspeakable things. His hair was white. His eyes held shadows that would never fully lift. But those boots, those were the same boots. "I got lost," he said, voice breaking. "Spent 3 years in a prison camp. Another 5 trying to remember who I was. 35 more years ashamed to come back to you like this, broken and old, when I promised you forever." Tears ran down his weathered face. "I sat in 100 different towns, trying to convince myself you'd moved on, that coming back would only hurt you. But I couldn't die without seeing this porch one more time." Margaret stepped forward and took his face in her hands, those same hands that had held his dog tags through 4 decades of storms. "You're not late," she whispered. "You're exactly on time. I've been keeping your coffee cup warm." She pulled him close, and he collapsed into her arms, sobbing like that boy she'd kissed goodbye. The walls he built around his shame crumbled against her unwavering love. That night, they sat in the rocking chairs she bought 43 years ago, 2 chairs side by side, and watched the stars emerge. James wore those old boots. Margaret held his hand. And the lamp in the window, the one she lit every evening for 4 decades, finally had its purpose fulfilled. Some people called it a tragedy, all those years lost. Margaret knew better. She'd learned that love isn't measured in time spent together, but in the absolute certainty that some promises transcend reason, distance, and even hope itself. She'd waited through every storm, and he'd found his way home. If this story moved your heart, if it reminded you that real love never gives up, then subscribe to this channel and share this story with someone who needs to believe in the power of devotion. Because somewhere, someone is wading through their own storm. And they need to know that faith like Margaret's still exists in this world. Hit that subscribe button, and let's keep these stories of enduring love alive together.